Hey there and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. When I'm not playing Sea Power or working on content, this is what I tend to be playing. Microsoft Flight Simulator with the career mode. Now, it's had a bit of a bumpy road, a bit of a bumpy launch, but I really enjoy it. And I'm very grateful for Microsoft for providing the key to this game. So what's career mode? Well, you fly missions, and with missions you earn money. As you earn money, you get the opportunity to eventually find your own company. And once you're able to do that, you can start getting your own aircraft. None of this is cheap, however. Getting aircraft, of course, is a very expensive hobby. Some more expensive than others. I mean, this helicopter set me back about 2 million. If you want to get a Boeing 737, I think it is, yeah, you're looking to pay a bit more, shall we say. You're looking in the region of 44 million a pop. Now, as I'm flying this mission, I am doing this with a couple of joysticks. I used to be flying with a controller. It didn't quite work out as well as I hoped. Because especially with the helicopter, you got the collective, which is this thing over here. I'm moving it right now with the joystick. And that determines how much your helicopter is going to climb. Well, abbreviated version. And with the controller, that wasn't terribly convenient to fly, because when you press, for example, I think it was A, to raise the collective, it rose it by 5%, which made flying not ideal. Anyway, now that I have a couple of VKBs, that definitely made things so much more convenient and more fun to play. It hasn't all been positive, though. Microsoft Flight Sim had a rough launch. Everybody tried to get in on the action, and this had a very negative effect on the servers. The servers are where Microsoft really stores all its information. It's where you get your game, essentially. So a lot of this content is streamed, so that you don't have to download, I think they said, a 1.5 terabyte game if you want to download all the content. So thankfully, you don't have to do that. What you do need to get is a fairly stable internet connection, and then if you have, I think it was 14 million people trying to sign in at the same time, well, Microsoft's servers were having a bit of an issue with that. So the first couple of days, this game was largely unplayable, which, of course, is unacceptable for a new game. Unfortunately, such seems to be the state of affairs lately. A new game comes out, servers crash, hamsters melt down as the servers burn. Yeah, it's unfortunate. This guy was on my helicopter. The game is definitely not bug-free. And I do recommend that you take it with a grain of salt. There are some things that are definitely not working. Including sometimes my helicopter, for example. I have had it happen that you spawn into the game with the helicopter, and the helicopter just bounces up and down. Just like a dog that's happy to see you. When it does that, and when it lands roughly, the game says, hold on, you crashed your aircraft. Here's a repair bill for 60,000. Yeah, okay, fine. So that wasn't great. When it does work, though, and I mean right now, it is working, and it looks gorgeous. I'm running this on, I think, a decently powerful system. You can see my specs in the description down below. And I really enjoy it. It's comfortable, it's enjoyable to fly. You got all sorts of different missions. In this case, I'm doing one, of course, where, as you can see, I have a bit of cargo below my helicopter, and I have been tasked with providing such stuff to the helipad here at the oil rig. This is not without peril. If you slam your helicopter into something, you are going to be down one helicopter. It's not necessarily game over, but I have seen, especially posts on Reddit quite a few times, where people, for example, bought a Cessna after grinding a lot, crashed said Cessna, or had the Cessna crash because of a bug, and then the game went, yeah, no, sorry, you're not getting your monies back, you're gonna have to grind out another aircraft. And it is back to another 20-30 hours of grinding. So the game can definitely be hard like that. It can be frustrating at times, especially as the game sometimes has locations where you need to drop off cargo or you need to land your aircraft, which really isn't feasible for your aircraft to land. But when it does work, such as in this case, or when I do a search and rescue mission, for example. It's gonna be a bit of a rough landing. Well, they got it. I hope that was insured, because I'm not paying for that. You came really close to hitting something. Yeah, you don't say. When it does work, I really enjoy it. And it's comfortable to fly. It's relaxing to fly, I find. I tend to have, for example, an audiobook on in the background. I've been listening to Red Storm Rising quite a bit from Mr. Clancy, and it's just nice. You don't have to fly all the bits yourself. There are parts that you can skip. For example, if you're doing a passenger flight, you can say, well, I can do the takeoff, I can do the landing. I don't want to do the whole flying in between bit. Because, for example, if you're flying a transatlantic flight, and you're doing that in real time, yeah, that can take a little bit of time. Thankfully, you don't have to do all of that. Now, let me shut down my helicopter. Speed up the time here a little bit. And the helicopter has stopped. Mission success. So, in 5 minutes there, I was able to transport the cargo. I don't think that generator that I was transporting, or whatever that was really going to make it over intact. But, hey, they're paying me and they think I did on an S-tier job at it. So, yes, I will happily accept your money. That takes me back to my headquarters, and I actually earned 126,000 for that. So, if you do, let's say 20 missions like this, you already have recouped the cost of your helicopter. You're also getting a reputation. The more reputation you have, the more bonuses you get from additional missions, and also you get a tiny insurance bonus, or rather discount. As for other missions, what do you have? Well, there's a lot that you can do. You start out with your first flight, which is basically after you got your pilot's license, you can fly with a couple of different aircraft, and you can basically just ferry people around. That's the extent of it. It's not very enticing. Flight seeing is your next step, where you do flight seeing or sightseeing flights. And this, again, I haven't found to be particularly interesting. You just take off, you fly a couple of loops around things. You get, unfortunately, very generic lines from the crew and from the passengers. And most of the time they just don't make sense. So that's another aspect that I really hope they improve. You can also get skydiving. This is a mission, of course, where you start throwing people out of planes. Fortunately, they do carry parachutes, and ideally they land safely. You, again, are functioning much like a bus driver. You're just flying up, getting the people off the plane, and then flying back down. It's not very interesting. I am much more interested in flying rotorcraft, so that's what I have unlocked all the missions for. Such as aerial construction, where you're getting to fly the Sky Crane. That's a really big aircraft. You also got agricultural spraying. So in this case you can fly either with the Robinson R66 or with the Airbus H125, which is the same helo that I have just flown. And that way you can start spraying fields. There is search and rescue hoisting, allowing to get people up and down without having to land. There is search and rescue, which means that you have to find one of those smoke columns. And for airplanes there is a whole lot more to do. There's, for example, also aerial advertising, where you drag one of those banners behind your aircraft. You got various cargo missions. You also have aerial firefighting, and I do enjoy this one. This is, well, essentially, essentially it's a fetch quest. And what you're doing, I'm going to switch to employee mode here. What you're doing is attacking a fire with an aircraft. So you're airdropping liquids on top of it. Now, all of these missions that you can see, you can do. I'm currently in the employee mode, which means I'm using a helicopter or an aircraft provided by the person who wants the job done. It does, however, only pay, I think, 1% or 10% of what you can earn if you're a freelancer. So, for example, if I'm freelancing, spraying this field, I get about 67,000, maybe 70,000 with my premiums. If I'm spraying the same field as an employee, I only get 9,000. So you're getting substantially less money, but you also don't have any of the issues. If you crash the aircraft, well, unfortunate for the aircraft, but hey, you're not paying for it. You're only getting a bit of a reputation hit. That's about it. Of course, if career mode isn't your thing, you can also do other activities. Challenge League has you flying different sorts of challenges. There's different challenges per week. I have not touched these. There are all sorts of different challenges in here. You can, of course, also do free flight. For me, that tends to be the most boring part, because, well, you're just flying a aircraft, whatever you prefer, from point A to point B, if even that. And that way, you get to fly everything you like, but there's no achievement, there's no objective, there's nothing really to do. As for the rest of the activities, you can get your flight training in, you can fly low altitude, landing challenges. Let's do a landing challenge. I haven't touched those ones yet. Let's do a precision landing. Let's see, the Cup Crafters X Cup. Let's do a precision landing. Start the challenge. Here goes. We don't have a whole lot of way to go. We already got our flaps down. What sort of approach do we need to pick to that runway? According to my flight map, there is no runway. How do you... Where do you expect me to set down? Speed. Only 64 knots now. Graphically, the game's quite good. It does, of course, stream things from servers, which is its weak spot. Your connection isn't good enough, or if the servers are overworked, you will find that some graphics just don't get loaded in very well, which is unfortunate. It will make the game not as pretty as it should be. Oh, this is the runway target. Right, okay. Let me just go around. Why do they have you going at this runway at an angle? It makes no sense to me. Okay, let's see how much this Cub can handle. I'm only doing 52 knots. I'm close to stalling this aircraft out. Going a bit too fast. Flaps to 16% or 16 degrees. Not bad. Not bad. Flare. And set her down. Brake. Ooh. Don't brake too hard, you will get the aircraft tipping over. And that was not the objective? Did we not land? There. Activity success. So you got these very, very short missions. I got 1.6 million points. No, sorry. That's the top score. I got a 15.7k. Right. So there's plenty of things to do. Scoring. How accurately you are in the middle. Landing smoothness. Right, of course, yeah. Yeah, so there's different things to do. Let's see what other activities we have around here. That's the landing precision. Low altitude flight, Red Bull Air Race. Unfortunately, some of these are still locked because they're still in production. Let's do a low altitude flight. I'll take the FA-18E. This has a very high likelihood of going terribly wrong. How low do you want me to fly? The last aircraft that I've been flying was, I think, a 737 MAX, so this is a bit much. Or rather, this responds very, very quickly. I think the Ghost up ahead is one aircraft that has already flown the race. Flown the activity, so you can see just how good it can get. That was a section? I don't even know what the sections are. I guess I'll just follow that aircraft. Of course, at this speed, that makes the aircraft a lot less maneuverable. But if I go slow, I might not pick up as many points for getting through this mission quickly. In case you're wondering what sort of joysticks I have, I'm flying with 2 VKB Gladiators, one in the Omni throttle setup. Oh, here we go. I think my pilot didn't particularly enjoy that. Yeah, there's quite a bit of G happening to the pilot, I think. Anyway, one of the Omni throttle setup, which makes it so comfortable both to use as a throttle as well as a collective. So for helicopters, it's very comfortable like that. Oh, oh boy. Up. I'm about to black out again. So you're supposed to fly through these canyons, but the game could have made that a bit more obvious for me. I, for one, I'm not terribly sure what course to fly if I'm not following that ghost around. Seven out of 11 done. Yeah, I'm flying actually too high. I barely risk going full throttle on this course because it's probably going to get me killed. We got 2 more points to go. Again, I'm just following the ghost and we'll see how it goes. I think I'm not going to get a whole lot of points, but at least I didn't crash my aircraft. I'll consider that a win. And done. Activity success. How about that? 3 minutes? Own score, 394,000 points. World record, 241,000. What? So, I think the fewer points you have, the better. That makes more sense. Yeah, the fewer points you have, the better. Right. So, that's a bit of the Flight Simulator 2024. I've been mostly tinkering with career. As I mentioned, I have a couple of different companies. And I am looking forward to doing a few more aircraft additions to my fleet. Right now I have a couple of different companies, and you can start your own companies depending on whether or not you have the specializations for them. So I have South 17 Tours, that was my flight seeing company. I have Flappy Birds, which is my operations for doing VIP transport, so the... what do you call it? The charter flights, that's it. We got cargo, which I'm doing for both... Well, I used to fly a bit of cargo with the Cessna, and then I bought the H-125. So it's the helicopter in order to get a couple of those airlift missions done from ships to freighter, or from ships to platforms. Horizon Responders was a short-lived search and rescue company, and what I'm also doing quite a lot is Spray and Pray, which is agricultural operations spraying my helicopter, or rather spraying fields using my helo. Your aircraft will need maintenance. In some cases, you will see what the status of, for example, the flight controls is. This is good. However, the rest I don't know. So let's have a look. Right now, everything is good. You can still replace it or maintain it if you want. Some parts, such as the electrical system, are a bit more expensive to maintain. But right now, I think the aircraft is in pretty good condition. Personally, I would recommend MSFS. I like it, but it's not without its faults. I do expect the game to continuously get better, and if you want to wait for that, well, of course you can. The good news is, if you want to test it out, I'd say cheaply, you can get it on Microsoft Game Pass, so you don't have to get the whole game and test it that way. Anyway, that's it for Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 from me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are below, and I'll see you soon for more videos.